Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. It is Monday, July 22nd. I had to think about that. Oh, my goodness. July 22nd, 2024. What do you guys have planned for this week? You know, what's coming up? It's hot as you know what in Vegas. I mean, it was 111 yesterday. It's going to be a cool 107 today. Did I just say cool? Yeah, it's an interesting day. But we have amazing guests come in, and today is no different. Today, my sis, my director, my friend, my buddy, my pal, Lady Melinda Boyer is here. What's happening?
Hey, how's it going? I 107, man. I complain about 101 here up in the mountain.
Oh, yeah, it was 111 yesterday. We are standing in the street dancing for 107. Are you kidding me? A
I
week ago was 120.
thank you, sis, for having me on the show. I so appreciate you.
Oh, man, I appreciate you because, we have a great family in the Now Honors group, the Now Honor sisters. And when I send out the call, you all say, yep, what time? How can I be there? What's going on? Let's go. And you've had so much going on this
Yeah.
year, for it to be July. I know for you, it feels like it should be summer of 2025 with everything you've had going on in the last 6, 7 months that's been happening. But you keep going and you keep just rising up. And that's the first question I have, as our trailblazer for last year. How do you keep doing it? How do you just keep saying, you know what? One more step, one more goal, one more place to go?
Well, I think I learned that from my dad. You just don't give up. You just keep moving forward. Don't let life beat you down. Just get up and go. Go do it. Stop playing a pity party. Stop just moping. Stop just not doing it. Just get up and go. Go do it. It's it's sometimes it's not easy. I'll definitely say that. Sometimes it's definitely not easy, and you do need to take some time out for yourself. But I have good friends like you. I have sisters that I can depend on and say, hey, look, I'm going through a bad day. Can you help me get through this? So
Yeah.
it's that. It's that support. I think it's everything Jim Rohn and everybody else has said. Put yourself around powerful people, and you are who the five closest friends you are. And I think
Ooh,
that's
I need to recount the 5 friends. Let's see where I'm at right now.
right.
Do you recount from time to time? Are you going, ooh, well, where am I exactly?
I do. Actually, I do. I do because I think everybody energy changes, right? Um,
Yep.
I think that's one of the things that I've learned really good about Don. It's his energy is always high, and this. He's always on, right?
Hmm.
And I used to think, man, this guy's like he's like Iron Man or something, you know?
He's a lean, mean fighting machine. That's what he is for sure.
Right?
You, you
Right?
know, I know that you grew up in a very structured household. I grew up in a very structured household. When it comes to stress and things that are happening in your life, does that help you or hinder you? The hobbies and what's in your core?
I think it helps me. You got to remember, my dad was an embalmer, so I grew up around death, right? So
How did I forget that little tidbit of news? Okay.
right? I grew up like that, So my dad says there couldn't be anything worse than that dying, right? You live
Wow.
your day every day to the fullest. So that's what I did. I lived every day, and I still do live every day to the fullest. Don't let anything get you down. It's all about your thinking. It's all about what you're doing. It's all about who you're around. I just don't like people to bring me down. I like to be up you know I
So
mean,
you've mentioned your dad a couple of times, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, publicly how much we support you because you recently lost him,
yes.
and I know that was a journey. But after what you just said, living life to its fullest, did that help you firsthand with his journey that you just went through?
Yes, and it's really interesting, and I think my dad knew probably death better than anybody else, because he helped people, um, with those last either days or when they were gone, and he helped them get through that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when my mom passed, he was there and he knew every step, like she's going to go through this and be prepared for that. So he prepared me for everything for my mom when she passed. Then when he died, it was really interesting because the night before I actually took him to the hospital, he said that he got up to go to the restroom and he was sitting in the bathroom and he he felt he was stuck between time. What are you talking about, Dad? He goes,
Wow.
yeah, there was no time. There was everything stopped. He goes, so I know that I'm gonna go around my birthday. His birthday was May 4th. So Danny and Brinkley, we're in the transit. We're right in the middle of doing a movie called Beyond Life, and it's about the transition going into the other side. So Danny and Brinkley was medically dead for 30 minutes, right? So he went to that other side. So he told me all about the things that they were going to go through, and we filmed him probably about 6, maybe 7 weeks before my dad passed. And he told me, "Be prepared because your father's going to be passing in about 6 weeks." And I didn't believe him. I was like, "My dad's an iron, I mean, there's no way. There's no way my dad at least has another 2 or 3 years." But I knew my dad was declining. But when my dad told me about going into that space of no time, I knew. I knew. Daniel had already told me there's a space between time that everybody goes through. Um, so I already knew. And then when the paramedics came to take him to the hospital, my dad told me before they came in, he says, "Well, I already knew that I was going to go around my birthday time."
Wow.
So this was like a week or two after his birthday. So we go to the hospital and my dad was like 75% out of blood. So
Wow.
where he was bleeding from, I didn't even know this. He had been constipated for a long, long time. And we were trying to fix that. But there was a mass in his stomach that was bleeding that we didn't know about. So he was bleeding all through his GI tract. So my head, I'm already saying, I know my dad has no chance, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? I mean, how do you, my dad knew this already, right? So as this, we took him in on Wednesday and he passed on Sunday, Mother's Day. And it was really interesting because on that morning, they gave him another pint of blood, and there was 2 drops that landed on the gauze of his arm, and one of them was a circle. The other one was a complete heart. I mean, it was shaped exactly like a heart. I go, "Look, Dad, there's a heart on. Look at the blood. It turned into a heart." He goes, "That's your mom."
Oh, wow.
And I
Did
was
that
like,
take the wind out of you?
you know, no, because it made me feel like I had my mom and dad together again.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Okay, Dad." So he prepared me. He prepared me like, I'm gonna go around my birthday. I already seen the in between time. You know, be prepared. So he prepared me. He really did. When he passed, an hour. It was really interesting because my mom, when before my mom passed, it was probably 2 hours that she did. She took her communion. The priest came. They gave her a communion because my mom and dad were Catholic, and they did the communion. They prayed, and everything. And then within 2 hours, my mom was gone. Well, my dad, the same thing. We had a good friend who's a priest that came, gave him his last,
Right.
prayed for him. My dad prayed. He even took communion. This was an hour before he passes, right? And my dad
Wow.
takes communion. Um, and the priest looked over at him and he knew my mom and dad really, really well and just told my dad, if you see Helen, take her hand, you know. And my dad said, "Okay." And my dad just went, just went. you
Wow.
know and my aunt told me, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry it happened during Mother's Day, and how terrible." And I said, "No, that was the best gift my dad gave my mom, You know, that was the best thing that for my mom, for my dad to be together on Mother's Day. They gave me a Mother's Day that I'll never forget.
So I've got to ask you, everyone's heard recently, I lost a really good friend and a family member last week, Lillian McMorris. And I've lost over 80% of my family is gone. So I've been through this and up and down the valley, but I know right now somebody is just going through this. They may have just lost a parent or somebody very close to them, and they don't have the experience that you have, or even I have. What advice would you give them on these first day or first couple of hours, even that they're going through this journey? They're just starting it.
Yeah. As hard as it is to let a loved one go, I must tell you, they are in a better place. And you probably hear this from everybody, but they are in a better place. They're not suffering for whatever they went through. They may not be here physically, but know that they don't want you to suffer. And I didn't even say this, but right before my dad passed, everybody was crying in the room, right? And my dad opened his eyes with, I think it was like the last breaths. And he looked at us and said, "Don't cry. Don't cry." Because that hurts you. They don't want to see us suffering. They're not suffering anymore. So I think we have to let go of the selfishness of us to let them rest and be in peace and know that they're in a better place.
Absolutely. And I got to ask you something that's going to sound kind of weird, but you know me, sis, I'm always going to ask the odd questions. I woke up one morning, and actually one of my cousins said it, that, my generation, we're now the matriarchs. We're now the leaders of the family. And I said, "Oh, you guys are in trouble because there is no Sunday dinners and, hang out at Big Mama's house. No, none of that's happening." Right. So, forget it. We can send a text message from time to time. For you, have you realized that you are now that lead generation, that you are now that matriarch of your family?
Oh, shoot. I never thought about that. I haven't, but I will say this. Everything that my mom and dad taught me, they prepared me for today.
Nice.
They prepared me for who I am today.
Nice.
And I need to be thankful for that and know that they gave me all the tools that I needed to move on in my life. And I believe that. So yeah, if I am the lead, then you're right. All the grandkids came over on Sunday, right, for a birthday party. I said, "You are bringing your own food because I ain't cooking."
Gone are the days of Big Mama's Sunday dinner. It's just over. We're not doing it. But we are a mean orderer. We can order with the best of them, but we are not cooking all day on Sunday. That is just not happening. So, okay, we got to talk a little bit because I know there are people out there going, what's going on with Beyond Reflection? Where are we? How are we doing? And I just want to, thank you again for letting us be a part of that project. But, your vision of it was absolutely amazing. And the women that you have involved in it are, larger than their own lives right now and what they're doing. So I know we're in the middle of wrapping it all up and all that good stuff, but can you just give a quick little overview of what Beyond Reflection is?
Sure. Beyond Reflection, and this, Tigo, Beyond Reflection is about our inner selves, right? Who we are, who we look at ourselves. When we look in the mirror, who do we see? We see you, or do we see a powerful woman, or do we see, are we really living our dreams, right? Are we really living everything that we wanted to be? And, and I did this project because Dawn asked me one day, what is your purpose? And this was about 10 years ago. And I went, purpose? What are you talking about? My purpose is to take care of my kids, to take care of you, to take care of everybody else. He says, no, your purpose. What is it that you want, right? Who are you? What do you want to create for you? And it made me realize that women's life, we have, and we do for everybody, right? I think, I was just telling you, we turned 60 this year, right? So I want to make sure that, we turn 60 and who are we? What are we doing? Are we really doing for us? Right. And I think I went through my whole life living for everybody else rather than living for myself. And this year I'm like, I'm living for me. I'm living for who I want to be and what I want to do for others, because it's not just about me, it's about everybody else. So I wanted to delve into women and what were your dreams when you were a child? Are you living them today? And what changed that? Because we all
Right.
go through trauma in our life, right? We go through the
I
trauma.
totally agree.
We completely go off track, right? And who are we? What do we do? We got to do for our kids, we got to do for the grandkids, make everybody else happy. No, who's making us happy? What about us? And I really, my mom was really, I didn't realize that until probably 5 years ago. Man, my mom lived for herself, because if she wasn't happy, she wasn't going to make anybody else happy, right? So
Okay.
it is about you. Are you happy? Are you really, really happy? And my dad told me something before he passed. It was, this movie that you're doing is to help other women really define what makes them happy and who they are.
Ah, wow. That's amazing. And you're amazing, but you already know that. You
Oh,
already know that.
that's all I
That's
did.
why you were our trailblazer last year, trailblazer of 2023. I can't wait to see you pass it. Oh, it's there. There's the now. Lady Melinda Boyer, I can't wait to see you pass the torch this October 3rd through the 5th and for the Trailblazer of 2024. The journey, you are this quiet power and you do take care of everybody. I remember I think it was the movie premiere we did just a few months ago, and we're all sitting around, everything's done, we're all in the hotel. There's 25 leaders sitting there, and we're all talking about we're starving. Nobody's picking up a phone. We're just sitting there complaining like we're in kindergarten, waiting for the lunch lady to say, time for lunch, get in line, And then all of a sudden, all these pizzas come in. And we're like, what just happened? You were sitting over in the corner talking to everybody going, we'll take 20. We, you always make sure we're good. And I want to thank you for that, because without someone standing there and noticing the details, the big picture stuff, we got that. The leaders, we can cover the big picture stuff. But if it wasn't for people like yourself, and Alan and others that, could see the details, we'd be really well-dressed leaders doing nothing because we never got things right. So I want to take a moment to just say thank you for all that you do on and off the camera, on and in and out of the studio. You're always right there thinking about, but if we do this, then what comes next and what comes next? And without you, this stuff doesn't happen. You are the best.
Thank you. You're the best too.
I can't wait to see you soon, sis. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate you and love you so very much.
Awesome. All right, everybody, you know what to do. If you want to get in touch with Lady Melinda Boyer, go to Tigo Direct and type in Lady Melinda Boyer. She's coming up. Send her a message. Say you saw her on the 100-Day Challenge and find out what her next project is. Who knows? You may be one of their documentary interviews. Ooh, I ran out of air. But you might be one of their documentary interviews. Just reach out to her and say, hey, how do I get to be a part of your films? How do I come to one of your red carpet events? And if you haven't been to a red carpet event by the Boyers, you haven't seen a red carpet event. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it helped you on whatever the journey is that you're going through right now. And as always, I'm Tigo. I'll talk to you. You already know. Tomorrow. Have a great day.